Hey, it's Ron again. I hope that you're having a great day. Today we're looking at chapter 17 of Revelation. In the first 6.5 verses, we saw that John was taken by an angel and shown a vision. And in this vision he saw a prostitute sitting on a beast with 10 horns. And we know that the 10-horned beast is the Antichrist. And the prostitute we saw is called Babylon the Great, which is an evil city that's going to dominate during the tribulation. And so then he comes to the second part of verse 6, and it says this: "When I saw her, I marveled greatly, but the angel said to me, 'Why do you marvel? I will show you the mystery of the woman and of the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns that carries her. The beast that you saw was and is not, and is about to rise from the bottomless pit and go to destruction, and the dwellers on earth, whose names have not been written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, will marvel to see the beast, because it was and is not and is to come.'" So when he talks here about the beast, that it was and is not and is to come, there are different things that the commentators think this means and stuff, but they're really guessing. Nobody has come up with anything that's really convinced me. So I'm going to say this is one of those things that we just don't know yet. I think the people during the tribulation, when they see these things happening, they'll understand it, so it's written for them. But for us, it's not clear enough, and so we shouldn't guess on it. And so what he's saying here is this beast, though, with the 10 horns, again represents the Antichrist and his 10 kings ruling under him. He's going to go to destruction, and the people who are not in the book of life, which means they're not Christians, they're going to marvel at him and follow him. Then it says in verse 9, "This calls for the mind of wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman is seated. There are also 7 kings. 5 of whom have fallen. One is, the other has not yet come. And when he does come, he must remain only a little while." And so here, again, he talks about some things that, if you read the commentaries, they're just different ideas on what these things mean. But when you have godly men disagreeing so much on something, then we just don't know. So then he comes to verse 11 and says this: "As for the beast that was and is not, it is an 8th, but it belongs to the 7, and it goes to destruction. And the 10 horns that you saw are 10 kings who have not yet received royal power, but they are to receive authority as kings for 1 hour, together with the beast." So here he says that these 10 kings are going to receive power for 1 hour with the beast. Now, 1 hour is not a literal thing. We know that because halfway through the tribulation, which is 7 years long, he's going to set himself up in the temple and demand to be worshipped as God, and he's going to rule for the second half of the tribulation. So we know he's going to rule. This is going to be a 3.5-year thing. So the 1 hour is just a figure of speech, saying a short time, because that's a short time as far as kingdoms go. So he's going to reign for a short time with these 10 kings under him. And then it says in verse 13, "These are of one mind, and they hand over their power and authority to the beast. They will make war on the Lamb, and the Lamb will conquer them, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings, and those with him are called and chosen and faithful." So these 10 kings, again, are going to work under the beast and with him. They're going to come together in the land of Israel near Mount Megiddo, and they're going to fight against Jesus. But of course, they're not going to win, because Jesus is God. He's all-powerful. So he's going to defeat them. That's just the summary of what's going to happen. We'll see in chapter 19 some of the details. And then it says in verse 15, "And the angel said to me, 'The waters that you saw where the prostitute is seated are peoples and multitudes and nations and languages.'" And so if you remember earlier in this chapter, it said the prostitute was sitting on many waters. And so now he clarifies what that means. It's the people, so the world, the different people groups. And so what it's saying is this city, this evil city called Babylon the Great, is going to have influence over the whole earth. And then it says in verse 16, "And the 10 horns that you saw, they and the beast will hate the prostitute It will make her desolate and naked and devour her flesh and burn her up with fire. For God has put it into their hearts to carry out his purpose by being of one mind and handing over their royal power to the beast until the words of God are fulfilled. So this prostitute, which is this evil city that will be prominent during the tribulation, the Antichrist and his 10 kings under him are going to hate this city. And it says here they're going to destroy it. They're going to burn it with fire. For God has put it in their hearts to carry out his purpose. So what it's saying is that this evil city is going to be judged by God, but the instrument he's going to use is the Antichrist and his 10 kings. God sometimes does use evil people and evil countries to do his will. And then it says in verse 18, "And the woman that you saw is the great city that has dominion over the kings of the earth." And notice it says here that this city has dominion over the kings of the earth. And it's not talking about political dominion, which is what we usually think of, because we know that the Antichrist is going to have political dominion during the last half of the tribulation. And it's not religious either, because we already know that the Antichrist is in the middle of the tribulation is going to set himself up in the temple as God and demand to be worshipped as God through the second half. And so this dominion must mean something else besides religious or political. And as we go through chapter 18, we'll see that it's constantly talking about how this city was wealthy and produced wealth all over the world. So what it seems like when we go through chapter 18, we'll see that this city dominated the earth financially, and it also leads the earth in a lot of sin. So it seems like it's not only a financial domination it'll have, but also a sinful cultural domination over the world. So it'll kind of be going alongside with the Antichrist being the religious and political leader. And that's why in this vision, the city's pictured as a prostitute riding on the beast with the 7 horns, because the beast will be in charge, but they'll be coexisting together. So I hope that clarifies things. It's a pretty difficult chapter. But thanks for watching. I'll talk to you next time.